Hello, everyone. Thank you for the warm applause. And I will be talking about everyone's favorite topic, and that is errors and bugs, and how to fix them faster with Sentry. But before I start, a bit about me. Let me hide that huge ass cursor. There, it's good. So, I'm Kryštof Woldřich. I work at Sentry for over 2 years now, and I work from the Viennese office. So, it was quite a bit of a trip, but I'm super excited to be here in Prague and give this talk to you. And 99% of my time, I maintain the Sentry React Native SDK. So this will be another talk focused on React Native. I have a question to you. Who of you knows Sentry? Please raise your hand. Okay, I guess everyone here knows Sentry. I can end the talk a bit sooner. Let me ask another question. If you know it, do you use it? Okay, that's still quite many hands up. I cannot count them all. So some of the things might be familiar to you, but some of them are brand new. And let's start with a generic topic, and that is what is monitoring, how Sentry views it, and then we take a look into demo and example I have here prepared on my phone. So at Sentry, we actually don't use the word monitoring that much. We use a term called debuggability, and that has 3 pillars. It consists of prioritizing, understanding, and tracing. What these words mean. Prioritizing is knowing the scale, the magnitude of the error. Like, is the app crashing for all users, or only for a section of the world, only for my premium users, or those poor freemium users that I don't care about that much? You want to know which bugs to fix first, the ones that will bring you the money back. After you know what to fix, you need to understand what's going on. So primarily, you want to see the stack trace, you want to see what the user was doing, leading to the error. You want to know maybe a bit more about the specific of the device. Was it Android, iOS? Was it some strange manufacturer that does something strange with the hardware that you couldn't have predict? Or is this just the latest iPhone and iOS release you haven't tested on? And lastly, part of the debuggability process is tracing, because many of errors that we see both on web and in React Native might be failed requests, and the core of the issue is actually lying somewhere on our backend, behind our APIs, in microservices. And of course, we all want to have this beautiful splash screen like, oops, something happened, but the app is still here. But we truly want to just give the responsibility from us front-end guys to the back-end people, say, hey, I see in Sentry that it's microservice A doing, causing the crash, and you guys fix it. Okay, so I went through the 3 pillars, but how does it look in practice? So I'll jump into Sentry and open my 500 error coming from the server. So that's already a pretty good hint to what we'll be looking into. But first, I was talking about prioritizing. So if I look here to the right, I can see it's only 4 users, but clearly are power users, because there is 11,000 events. So they've been trying hard to check out, presumably, because the error is happening on the checkout screen, but they haven't succeeded. Oops. Another prioritizing item on the screen is this graph, this bar chart, where we can see that this error is phasing out, and it happened only a couple of times in the recent days. And that's a good sign. Maybe I could change the priority and not fix it, but let's pretend like I still want to do it and there is nothing more serious in the application. So I scroll down and I see the stack trace. So we've made a fetch request, and because the response was not 200, was 500 in this case, we just created an error and captured it by Sentry. So pretty simple, understandable code. We see the exact line number, a bit of sample of how the code looked in our application. And this is the part of the context. So what else we can see? Well, someone changed this code, and I hope you all can see it at the bottom of the screen, and said it was a lint fix. Well, I don't think so. I guess there was something more in it. Let's keep scrolling and figure out what was happening in the application. I skipped the screenshot because more interesting is this replay where I can just hit play button and see few seconds leading to the error, what the user was doing and what happened when the error occurred. And if the app did not crash, I could keep watching and see what the user did after. Have they tried again? Have they just left the app angry? I would see it there. But before I jump into the replay, let's keep scrolling down the page, what more we can see, what more context we have on this page. So right under the replay are breadcrumbs. This is the very same idea of the replay, where in a text form we see what was happening, what the user was interacting with, what network requests were happening, leading to the error. So on the top of the slide here, we see this event, the 500 error, and before that there was a request to the /checkout. Before that there was a touch of a button, presumably the checkout button. I could prove it to you, but since this is a screenshot, I cannot open the path and see into the 19 items there. But trust me, there would be the checkout button. And if we scroll even more down, then you see this huge amount of information that's automatically collected that helps you to dive into deeper to figure out what device, was the battery level low, was the temperature too high, was the CPU throttling, was that causing the error, and much more. And now for a real demo. So wish me luck. I have here a phone that I'll show you the demo app, and then we'll go to the Sentry website and see what was captured. So, all right, the video sharing is working. Let me just quickly guide you through the app, and let's try to purchase something. So the demo application is a simple e-commerce store selling plant products. You can see that it's not the fastest app in the world. It took quite a while to load. I hope to figure out why it took so long. You can see that there is few products here. Let's just open some detail, for example, for this plant mood. I don't know, looks good, bit expensive. Let's add it to the cart. Let's go back. Plant stroller. That looks quite cool. Let's add it as well. And I think I don't have more on my cart, so let's check. Okay, 2 products are in the cart. Let's continue to checkout. With a bit of demo magic, the details are filled in, and let's place the order. Oops, it does not work. Let's try it again. Still not working. Well, I have here a report a bug button. Let's try that. It's broken again. Please fix it. Let's try once more. I'm really persistent. Still not working. Let's send the report. Now I'm done. I'm angry. Cannot buy my plants, so let's move on. Let me make this bigger. And let's see what happened in Sentry. First, let's go from the backup plan. Let's refresh the list and see if we can dive into this demo. So 2 minutes ago, looks like that could be what I was just doing. Cannot believe I took 2 minutes to explain you simple add to cart and buy, but here we are. So that looks pretty familiar. Looks like our e-commerce demo. Let's play the session replay. So we can see in the beginning I was talking too much, nothing was happening. Let's scroll a bit forward. So here I added one of the plans to the cart. If you can spot it, it might be hard to see on the screen, but there are small purple circles showing us where I was touching the screen, how I was moving the scroll view. And eventually I got to the checkout page and tried checkout, and it did not work. So why didn't it? Oops, that's weird. Okay. You might see a familiar view here. That's the breadcrumbs. Same as on the error page. It gives you a bit more context to what's going on the screen, and it's all clickable, so we can quickly jump to the error timestamp, or if we scroll to the navigation, we quickly change and see what was on the screen at that moment. So let's return back to the error. And if you are watching the screen really carefully, you see there's something strange here. There is an error and it says Flask here, and then there is another error and it says Mobile React Native. What this is and why is it here? So our app talks to a backend. That backend is written in Flask. Not my first choice, but I didn't create the backend part of the demo. So let's roll with that. And why are there two errors? So when we clicked onto the checkout button, checkout request was made, as we've seen all the way at the beginning of the presentation. So this error 500 from the server, as I said, came from the server, and because we also installed our Python SDK to the server side, error was captured there. And because we had tracing enabled, part of the debuggability pillars, these two errors get connected as they are related to each other. And this is the super powerful part of debugging with Sentry, where if you have all the SDKs installed in your backend services and front-end apps, you are able to very quickly jump to this error just by clicking on a button. And right away, you will see the Python code causing the exception. So here we see that there was not enough inventory. Probably we haven't synchronized the data down. We shouldn't have errored out. This should be just a different type of error message. The server shouldn't crash on not enough inventory. Ideally, we shouldn't allow users to buy things that are not in stock. But yeah, so now I can throw off my responsibility. Backend guys can fix it. And since I already have an app that does not crash and shows the toast, I'm good to go. But let me show more cool things in the session replay. I like to refer to this view as kind of remote DevTools. As you can see, like by the tabs, it reminds DevTools. There is console, where you can see the JavaScript console logs. There is network, where you see all the network requests that happened during the session. So we see a bunch of 200s. That's all good. And then I tried 3 times to check out, and 3 times I got 500 and it errored out. So you can see all of that here. And then you can see also a trace. The trace is the part that connects things together. And after it loads, you can see performance insights. So we could dive a bit deeper into why the app was slow at the beginning. So can zoom out real quick. And I see the app started super quickly and we've seen the spinner. Why have we seen the spinner? Maybe the Wi-Fi is slow because you are all connected to it. But looking here at this HTTP call, I don't see any difference between the server processing time and how long this request took on the client. So it definitely was not the Wi-Fi. And as I mentioned, because we have the SDK on the backend side, I can click this plus button and actually dig even deeper. So if I would be responsible for the backend part of the application, I can actually go here and take a look at the database queries, why they are executed 4 times in a row. Like, there is for sure room to improve, and I can see all the information necessary to improve it here. Okay, now we'll go back to the presentation. Yes. And you might be curious, how does the replay work? How do I get this video? How do I get the text and images out of it so I don't leak any private information? Maybe the app is banking. Maybe it's just the checkout form like I had here. And I don't want to see all my devs, the information, who was it ordering, their address, and other private information. So it's the 5 simple steps. First, we capture the screenshot of the view of the application, not the whole device, and the application view hierarchy. Using these, we can remove the sensitive data. By default, it's all text, images, and whatever you marked as mask, custom. After a while, when we collect multiple of these screenshots, we compress the video, attach all the useful information like the breadcrumbs, network calls, performance spans, and others, and send it to Sentry. How does it look in code? Is it difficult to set up? It's super simple. You just need 2 files. One is the metro config, because you might have noticed in the breadcrumbs, we just haven't seen generic view, touchable view, text was touched. We actually saw the user touch my card in mycard.tsc, and this information needs to be added to the bundle during build time, and you can enable that with this simple option called annotate React components, set it to true. And I assume here that you already used Sentry before, so you would have this with Sentry config in your file already. The next thing you do is locate your Sentry init. Usually it's at the root of the application. It can be, in the Expo case, it would be app layout if you are using Expo router. And here you add 2 items. That is replay on error and replay on session. There are multiple ways to capture the replays. On error lets you save a bit of quota and send less replays, where on error says, I want to capture replay only when the error happens. So when I click the button, that would be the moment we store the 30 seconds lead into the error, send them to Sentry, and then if the app did not crash, we keep rolling and sending the small video segments as the user moves forward. In case of the replay session, that is super useful if you are interested in the startup of the application, for example, like we had here, where the loading screen was there for quite a while and no error happened, and we want to capture the replay, see what the user was doing during that loading time, and also we want to see what the application was doing during that time. So that's the second option. And then there is this integration if you would have any further settings to set the Sentry mobile replay. Last, I would like to stop at this custom masking. So I mentioned you can select text or any other private information you don't want to see in the replay. And on the other hand, you might have headers or generic descriptions and pictures of products that don't contain any private information, and you want to make them visible to make it easier to understand where the user was at the given time. So for that, we offer this brand new API that we added to the SDK this week. So Thank you. It's called Sentry Mask and Sentry Unmask. These both are native components implemented for iOS, Android, for the new architecture, for the legacy architecture of React Native. And by wrapping the text here, the whole tree and all elements going down the tree will be masked. And by using the unmask, only this one text, only the direct child is unmasked. And you might think, that doesn't feel right. Like, why is not the whole tree unmasked? And the reason is, again, protecting the privacy of your users and being very explicit with what data will end up in Sentry and be visible to users. So if this would be more than a text, complicated structure like a whole card, you don't want to unmask all text in the card because somewhere down the tree could be birthday date or name of the user that shouldn't be unmasked. And this is the end. As I said, we added this very recently, so I invite you all to try it out. You can either go to the Sentry website or just use our handy @Sentry wizard to quickly bootstrap your app and get you started with using Sentry for the monitoring and session replay. Thank you.